In this video, I'll discuss the pros and cons of a cloud solution. Let's dig into the pros and cons of the cloud. The cloud offers some attractive features, and uptime is one of them. Organizations that rely on continuous access to their information understand the costs associated with downtime. But in the cloud, when we talk about uptime, we talk in terms of nines. So if you're in discussions with a cloud provider, it's not uncommon to hear them state that they offer 99.9999% uptime. The cloud relies on redundancy, so if a server goes down, another spins up to meet traffic requirements. Data safety and security in the cloud have gotten a bad rap over the past few years, but organizations have realized that security is a big benefit of cloud deployments. One of those reasons is that cloud providers have invested a great deal into securing their systems, and they're experts at it. Another big benefit of cloud computing is instant scalability. Because virtual servers are used in cloud computing, when data loads spike, say if something goes viral and your traffic load triples, new VM servers are created on the fly to handle the additional load. So you have near instantaneous scalability. And we all know the term offshoring, but I'm using it a bit differently here. The idea being that you can co-locate your IT in different regions of the world because the big cloud providers have data centers strategically placed throughout the globe. That way your customers and employees will have access to your information no matter where they are, while still providing fast internet and adhering to regional regulations if that's an issue for your data storage and archiving operations. Further, in a cloud deployment, you pay as you go. You have options for different payment plans and services depending on the cloud provider, and you have different choices for cloud providers. There's relatively zero CapEx expense, and that may not always be the case for every company, but for the most part, cloud adoption represents operating expenses. Cloud deployment is pretty much turnkey. If you've already signed up for an Office 365 subscription, for example, you know how quickly you can get up and running, and that scales out evenly whether you have 10 users or 10,000. And of course, mobile accessibility is a big plus when you have a cloud solution because you can access your apps and information from anywhere at any time. But there are cons to the cloud which every company has a responsibility to research and consider when deciding what's right for them. You may lose control over your hardware if you're moving your entire IT operations into the cloud. You may experience wasted spend, something that's gotten a fair amount of attention since companies began moving their operations. It's the result of choosing the wrong plans and not properly utilizing the bandwidth or services you committed to. Now, this one sounds scarier than it is because modern cloud providers will work with you to understand your needs and get you the plan you need. There's the perceived loss of data control, and that has meaning to some people. In reality, you don't lose control of your data. It's just that someone other than your own employee is managing the safety and security of it. And cloud computing relies on the internet. Now, this is more of an issue perhaps for organizations that have servers sitting inside their own buildings and use desktop apps residing on those servers. In reality, it's been common practice for people and companies to store their information and access their apps over the internet for nearly 2 decades. And just to sum it up, organizations that don't properly plan how they want to use a cloud deployment can find the experience a costly one. The total cost of ownership, or TCO, for a cloud solution will vary from company to company, but cloud providers can help you understand what your TCO will be. And again, having your information quote unquote in the internet can represent a challenge that some organizations will struggle with. To the average employee, how they access data and apps and where the data comes from is a mystery to them. So there will likely be no learning curve when information is living in a cloud provider's data center as opposed to the organization's data center. At the end of the day, if the data is securely stored and delivered, then it shouldn't be an issue. And finally, on the control side, there is the idea that there's little customization in cloud software and tools, and that may be a valid point for companies that rely on their own custom-made tools and interfaces. For most organizations that use out-of-the-box software already, it's not going to be an issue, and the tools provided by the major cloud providers are quite good.